Hello, you beautiful people. I've been kind of busy over this past week with all the after the election stuff, so I haven't really been able to keep up with Trump that much. So I'm just gonna sit down. I'm already sat down. And I'm gonna watch a whole bunch of Trump stuff from Asmongold, so it's not just a bunch of boring political stuff. I got somebody else to bounce off of. Things are getting crazy out there, man. Things are getting real crazy. I'm gonna slap these headphones on. We're gonna check it out. Donald Trump 2025. It's probably going to get slowly dark in this video, by the way, because it's like almost 4 o'clock, and it gets dark in 30 minutes to an hour after 4.
Let me see here. Biden resignation proposal to make Harris the first female president. What?
Joe Biden has been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States. It would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see is the time. This is the moment for us to change the entire perspective of how Democrats
Okay, this
operate.
is now.
It's just crazy that, like, yeah, Biden has been asked to resign the presidency to.
He's not going to do that. I think that'd be absolutely insane if that actually happened. I don't see Biden giving up the presidency, though. I think he's going to serve the full time because he doesn't want to be an almost full-term president. He wants to be an actual full-term, like, 2-term president. But, obviously, he can't do that. He just gets the 1 term. And he don't even get that if he resigns. So I doubt that happens.
Kamala Harris so she can become the first female president. You know what's really funny to me about this? It's about how passively degrading it is to women. We want to make sure that the first female president is a bona fide fucking loser.
And a plant, because they're just going to throw her in there. Nobody voted for her for president. She just gets thrown in there and she gets to be the first female president. But the history books aren't going to say it that way. They're going to be like, this is the first female president who stole the first female president spot. How humiliating would that be? Not to Kamala, she'd probably like it. But to all women? Then what happens if we don't get a woman president? Ever. And she's the only one. And she's going to be an outlier, and people are going to be like, yeah, they did some fishy stuff there.
It's insulting. It is. It's crazy. It's like a participation award. I have an awful feeling that Starlink chose the president. So there's a new conspiracy going around. So the idea is that, take a look at this. This is in Oklahoma. You see that? You know what those are? Those are
votes.
aliens.
No, those are votes.
Or they could also be Kamala Harris's votes if you're the person that's on Twitter writing this. Oh, look, Elon Musk destroying the evidence. Starlink uploaded votes, and Musk said, I'm not kidding. I wasn't kidding. It wasn't a joke. Musk said he knew the election out.
Uploaded votes. Uploaded votes. Uploaded votes.
Come 4 hours before the rest of us did. Starlink satellite incident sparks election fraud allegations. It's just, bro. It would be really funny if they recounted the votes and it turned out that Trump lost. It would be.
They just found a batch of new ballots. 40 million new ballots. Kamala Harris is president-elect.
Bullshit! She better not have. What?
40 million new ballots. Kamala Harris is president-elect.
Bullshit!
Like, I gotta say, if this happens, it will be fucking hilarious.
I know, I'll be making money. I'll be farming that content because I don't like Trump and I don't like Kamala. I don't like either one of them. I don't like the government. I'm an anarchist. So anything that just happens that is just destruction in the government, I'm going to love it and I'm going to laugh at it.
Oh my God. Bullshit. Let me see here.
Let's see here what we got next. Trump has more plans for these next 4 years.
Our country is being poisoned from within by the drugs and by all of the other crime that's taking place.
Yep.
The drug cartels are waging war in America.
Yep.
And it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels.
Yep. I tried this, actually. There was I don't know if anybody knows what vape additive is, but in my area, by the way, we have a cartel highway. It's middle of nowhere highway that constantly they're busting people, like trucks on this road, because it's in the middle of nowhere. They think that they can get away with it, but we have the feds around here watching this road. So good luck with that. But I got a little tied up in a war with the cartel a little while ago because I knew where they were making the vape additive, and I knew who was selling it and where they were buying it from, where they were getting the ingredients, and I spilled the beans, man. And they did not like me. They were threatening me over social media. Nobody actually came to my house, but I got in contact with the feds, and they were watching my house. I even went out and bought a suit and some nice sunglasses so I could feel like a fed myself. And I did. I did feel like a fed. And now, that company, it was a vape store, just a local vape shop in my town, is now shut down. You're welcome, America.
In this war, Joe Biden has sided against the United
shit.
States and with the cartels. They are
By the way, I'm not bullshitting. That actually happened to me. This is true. You could, like, if you come to my town, you could just ask random people, they would know. Because I told everybody. I'm friends with everybody in my town on Facebook, and I just posted it everywhere. It's kind of crazy.
making more money than they've ever made before, times 10. There's never been anything like it. They're major, major companies. They're bigger than even some of our biggest companies. Biden's open border policies are a deadly betrayal of our nation.
CIA
When
in
I am
shambles.
president, it will be the policy of the United States to take down the cartels, just as we took down ISIS and the ISIS caliphate, and just as, unlike the situation we're in today, we had a very, very strong border, the strongest border, in fact, in the history of our country, and drugs were at a low of 45 years. There's been nothing like what we did just 2 years ago.
There's something going on with his face. He's doing a thing with his face right now, because he's not doing his normal, like, rally face or his speech face. It's like, he's got a stern face going on, like he's serious.
We will show no mercy on the cartels. Every day, drug traffickers are using the waters of our region to ship their lethal poisons to America, killing so many of our people.
Not to mention the human trafficking. That's worse. Like, I don't really care much about people poisoning themselves. It sucks that people just want to smoke some weed and they end up getting poisoned with some fentanyl, but the human trafficking of children, a million times worse.
Oh boy.
And ruining families. In addition to restoring strong border security, I will deploy all necessary military assets, including the U.S. Navy, to
Damn.
Oh my God.
impose the full naval
shit.
embargo on the cartels. I did that before, and it worked. What we did was incredible. We will guarantee that the waters of the Western Hemisphere are not used
By the way, this is just the first video. There's another video that says his plans get even crazier.
to traffic illicit drugs to our country. Furthermore, I will order the Department of Defense to make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict.
We are straight up declaring war on the cartels. What? Excuse me? How does Mexico feel about this? Because they are basically run by cartels.
Maximum damage on cartel leadership,
Damn.
infrastructure, and operations.
He's just saying he's gonna fucking just gonna go and kill him. Oh my God.
Will designate the major cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We will sever their access to global financial systems. I will
Jesus. Oh wow.
Let's go.
also work to forge an unprecedented partnership with neighboring governments in our region, just like I did in Mexico. And remember, in Mexico alone, an estimated 100,000 civilians have been tragically murdered or gone missing at the hands of these cartels.
Oh my God.
The Mexican government, run by a very fine man, the president, is really working hard, but it's not working out. These
Saying that Mexico's incompetent and that we have to take over. Bro, what happened? What happened? Isn't this what Nikki Haley wanted to do, though? No, not really. She actually wanted to go, like, invade Mexico with a full-on war, like Ukraine versus Russia type war, which I'm not completely opposed to. Because if Mexico's not going to do anything about these cartels and they just keep letting themselves get taken over, then, like, we got to do something. Because they're affecting us. They're coming into our territory and trying to take over our shit.
cartels are vicious and they're violent, and they have Mexico for now stymied. Well, we have to help Mexico, and we have to stymie the cartels. Either we will get the full cooperation of other governments to stop this menace, or we will expose every bribe, every kickback, every payoff, and every bit of corruption that is allowing the cartels to preserve their brutal reign.
Bro, he's going full mob boss here. I'm for this. Actually, I changed my mind. I like Trump now. What the fuck? I thought that he would, like, basically was just gonna do the same bullshit rhetoric. If he's actually gonna do this stuff, I'm on board.
And it is.
Oh my God. Bro, if this happens, holy shit.
Indeed brutal. Finally, as I have said
Judging by who he's got lined up to be in his cabinet, I think it's gonna happen, man.
before, I will ask Congress to pass legislation ensuring that drug smugglers and human traffickers receive the death penalty. The drug cartel.
Dude, what the fuck, man? That's crazy.
Oh boy.
Here we fucking go.
And their allies in the Biden administration have the blood of countless millions on their hands. Millions and millions of families and people are being destroyed. When I'm back in the White House, the drug kingpins and vicious traffickers will never sleep soundly again. We did it once, and we did it better than anybody else. There's never been a better border than we had just 2 years ago.
Oh, man.
It was strong, it was powerful, and it was respected all over the world. And now we're laughed at all over the world. And we're not going to let that happen much longer. We have to take over. We have to be tough. We have to be smart.
Jesus.
We have to be fair.
What happened, man? Dude, Democrats really pissed Trump off. Because this is not the same Trump that we had in 2016 saying this.
If we don't do something immediately, our country is gone.
Bro, if that shit happens, that is going to be fucking insane.
Bro, I'm sweating a little bit. Like, I've got sweat on my back. My shirt is wet.
Because, like, that's kind of what happened in El Salvador. Donald Trump announces that he will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
Here's my plan to stop the chemical.
And here's what's important about this thing. This has 295,000 likes. This is massive. I actually think, like, it's very weird, but I actually think that the trans issue was extremely circumstantial and extremely instrumental in radicalizing people against left-wing ideology. I do. I think it was, like, massively influential. Even though it's such a small percentage of people.
Mutilation of our youth.
Oh.
On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance,
Oh.
and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order.
There it is, right? And so the reality is that on social media, people have been led to believe that this is a normal opinion that average people have. When you explain putting a 12-year-old on puberty blockers and giving them surgery to change their gender, or a 15-year-old, if you explain this to an average Walmart American, they're going to want to call the police.
Let me give you a little bit of an example about myself. It's a little bit embarrassing, but I'll go ahead and tell it because I have no shame. When I was about 14 years old, I thought that I was bisexual because I had friends who said that they were bisexual. I didn't actually know what that meant. I kind of thought that it meant that you found other men attractive, not that you would sleep with other men. I mean, like, I knew that, but I didn't. You know, I just had it in my head that men were attractive. Which men are attractive. I am straight, by the way. Men are attractive. But back then, I fell into the crowd and I pretended to be bisexual. And I actually thought that I was. Was not. I found out when I kissed a dude, and I did not like it. And there you go. Don't let kids make their own sexual decisions because they don't know what that means. They're having like hormone issues, man. Their bodies are freaking out already. You put them through surgeries to freak them out even more, they're just going to be fucked up for life. And I think that if you let a child transition, they're even more likely to off themselves than if they didn't get surgery in the first place.
Because we could have a molester here. There's somebody like this is bad, right? This could be something bad. Yeah, absolutely. It's child abuse. Yeah. This is not an opinion that average people have. And on the internet, there's been such a massive distortion of what normal is that it's been seen as like this is a contentious topic. It's not a contentious topic at all. If I had to guess, I would say probably 70, 80, if not 90% of people do not support this. It's not even remotely close. Walmart American sounds like a slur.
I don't know a single person that not only hates that the government is transitioning kids, they actually think that trans people are disgusting. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. My friends are saying that. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
I know. That's why I use it.
Instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
Wait, what's this?
Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
At any age. At any age. Let's go!
Wow.
I will.
Damn, bro, they're going all the way with this.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
We're going hard in the paint, man. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, they are. Trans issues were not important in this election. No, I think that they were. And so let me explain why. So a lot of people have like indicators of competency. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people will discount or disagree with something or not like somebody based off of a certain action that that person takes that might not necessarily be reflective of everything else, but it is an indicator of a pattern of thought or a pattern of behavior. So what happens is that when somebody hears that, you know, somebody thinks like, oh yeah, you should have like, you know, like underage kids, like taking puberty blockers or transitioning with like gender affirming care. This is something that like the moment that they hear that, it doesn't matter the rest of the things that you say.
Hot take. I think that, although I'm an anarchist, but if we're going to keep doing all these rules and stuff, we got to make being trans illegal. We got to make being trans illegal. Because it's like, it's a sexual deviancy. It's degeneracy. It's not like, oh, I feel like I'm of the opposite gender. You know, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. But that's a mental health issue. It's not a body issue. It has nothing to do with your body. It's all in your head. We need to stop experimenting on people, because that's what it is. I'm fine with transitioning people's genders. No, I'm not actually. As an anarchist, I'm fine with it. As a Christian, I'm not. But as an anarchist, I am fine with people transitioning if we have the technology to do so properly. And so far, we do not, and it is all just experimentation. And the answer is not Fauci experimenting on monkeys and making them trans, because they didn't want to be trans. You were straight up forcing monkeys to be trans. By the way, I don't think Trump is trying to make being trans illegal. I think that Trump is trying to make it illegal to push the ideology on people.
Because that is so offensive to them that they are just automatically against you. That's what happens. Trump said, yeah, exactly. Social issues were number one among swing voters. Yeah. And
I think at this point, everybody who's with him is with him, and everybody who's against him is against him.
I really think that people are downplaying, and here's what's funny about it, right? Is that trans people are less than 1% of the population, right? So by all intents and purposes, this is really not an important problem to solve for the country, right? It's really not that big of a deal. Like,
the ideology part is 100% important. 100%. He's wrong about this.
You've got inflation, you've got wars in like Ukraine, you've got like
a lot of this is based around this trans ideology, though. It's all connected. It's really not really the trans ideology. It's the leftist ideology. And it is in everything. And you can't say it isn't, because it's in the video games. It's in the movies. It's in the news. It's in the government. Like, you can't deny it. Asmongold is just being an idiot right now.
Crumbling social systems. Are trans people really the focus? They're not. But the fact that the other side, like Democrats, want to use this as an issue, and they're not willing to just kind of let it go, other people aren't going to let it go either. That's it. They have a loud voice. Yes, of course, right? And so, against virtue is important. Yeah, and so that's what I think happens the most. Yeah, virtue signaling, yes. And so so he's using identity politics too. He is. And so basically, I think that this election, more than anything, I think it was a refutation of radical identity and social politics. I think that is a huge component to it, because average people are very put off by this. And I'm always speaking about this from a perspective of like I'm just talking about it like anecdotally, right? I'm saying like, oh yeah, I have like 7 friends that I've talked to about this that I've grown up with that aren't streamers or anything, and they all think the same thing about this. Oh wow, sample size of 7, who cares? But how many of you guys have had the same experience with people that are in your life that have the same opinions, that are like, no, this stuff is crazy? I would love to see data. Well, there is data about.
I know thousands of people that are like this, that think the same way I do. Thousands. You could say I'm in an echo chamber. I'm not. I guess I'm in an echo chamber, but I'm not listening to my echoes. I'm listening to everybody else's echoes. I'm in the Timcast Discord. People argue with me a lot there, because a lot of people in there are right-wing, and I am not. I'm actually not on the right at all. I'm directly center. If anything, I'm slightly to the left.
A lot of this stuff. There actually is like opinion polls and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. And so there's a lot of them. We're sick of the lunacy, and I think a lot of average people are sick of, they're sick of being told that like, oh yeah, you're a bad person for like not seeing this the same way that they do. The data is Trump won the popular vote. Yeah, and I think that like the radical positions on social issues is actually one of the biggest issues that affects voting. I think it's very, very big, or at least like this time around. And the reason why I think it was so big is because these social issues are accessible to anyone. Like, anybody can understand what a man and a woman is. Anybody can understand, like, you know, you look around and like men are on average taller, women are on average shorter, right? And you can see this. And so you can go to like basically any place in the world and they're going to have this same distinction. It's because it's a naturally occurring thing in humanity. And so what happens is that whenever you diverge from that, you're denying such a core truth that a lot of people know to be true.
Hang on, I got something to say about this.
And it's just not going to work. And so it's like, for example, if I know that somebody thinks that the earth is flat, I think this is a really good one. If I know that somebody thinks that the earth is flat, I automatically assume that everything else they're going to say is going to be really stupid, and I think that they're a stupid person. And I think what's happened is that with these radical social issues, people view them the same as I view the earth being flat. And it's like the moment that they hear you say that, you know, like biological men should compete against women in sports, this is like an automatic disqualifier because it just goes against every bit of logic, reasoning, and lived experience that they've ever had. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think a lot of this, I think ideology is probably about 75-80% of it, you know, ideology, propaganda, manipulation. And I think about 20% of it has something to do with what we ingest, what we consume, like the food that we eat, the medicines we take. A lot of people take daily medication for like antipsychotic and stuff like that. A lot of people have severe mental health issues. And I think that's really what's allowing the ideology to permeate in people's brains. Because they're distracting themselves, and then while they're distracting themselves with all this garbage like the NPC stuff on TikTok and all that, as they're scrolling through, every once in a while they get something political that just like punches them in the brain.
That asks Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Further,
Jesus Christ, yeah. Like, I'm actually really curious because, like, now
that would kill it. That would kill the hospital. You wouldn't be able to run that hospital no more.
There's like
because nobody's gonna pay $10,000 in cash for an ambulance visit. That's not gonna happen.
Almost no restrictions. Is he just gonna go and just do this? He's going in? Yeah.
He's definitely gonna try. He's probably gonna get stopped on most of it, but he's definitely gonna try.
Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on.
See, this is the thing. This is what I was talking about before. It's like it's not enough for them to just simply stop it from happening. They are going to go after the people that did it, and they are going to fucking nail them up on a cross. Yeah, there are going to be actual. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And the thing is that you might think that's unfair.
Yeah, people are like, oh, Donald Trump's revenge. No, this isn't revenge. This isn't revenge. This is retribution. Like, these people will see
or whatever.
Justice.
And in a lot of ways, I'd probably agree with you. But there's a lot of people out there that have been made to, they've felt like they haven't been able to express themselves. They haven't been able to have the opinions that they've wanted to have. And that has caused so much animosity and frustration.
These people are going to experience the right hand of God. No. These people are going to experience the righteous hand of God.
Fair as fuck. why like, I mean, this is my personal opinion. I don't really care. Like, my personal opinion on this is a little bit different, but I think that it's good to analyze what people are thinking, and at least what I think people are thinking. So
What I think about it is completely contradictory to myself, because I think that trans ideology is wrong. I think being trans is wrong, and it's degenerate, and it's a deviancy. I think that abortion is wrong. I straight up think it's murder. Straight up, it's murder. If you kill your unborn child, you are a murderer. But I'm an anarchist, and I think, oh, wait, I'm an anarchist Christian, and I think that anybody should be allowed to do what they want. But everybody has to answer to God still.
like, we can debate it all day. It's not really that important. The point is that a lot of people effectively want revenge. That's the reason.
I don't. I just want retribution.
It's not enough for them to make it stop happening. They want to take the people that were doing it and they want to crucify them. And they want to do it publicly to set an example for everybody else. If you ever try this again, this is what's going to happen to you. Now, it might not be something that you say in polite company, but I think when people get behind the voting booth, that's what they want to do. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, nobody, don't deny that when you're behind closed doors, people say some gnarly shit, some like violent shit, some crazy shit that will definitely get you locked up if you said it in public. Free speech, baby.
Hold them accountable. Yeah, I think that's it.
Minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally...
I do think this kind of messaging is probably the most effective messaging he could use talking about this. Because
it's true.
he's effectively... He's basically looking at it as like the people that are looking for like these type of like gender reassignment surgeries and things like this. These people are the victims, right? He's trying to help them, in like big pharmacy, or like they're the ones that are bad.
marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination. And
Good. If you are trying to fuck with the mind of a child that's malleable, child's mind, you can shape it. It's like clay. If you fuck with that and it's not your kid, out. You're done.
Man.
Dude, he's got me fired up.
Base mask off. Yeah. I and here's the thing. I think that if you were to ask people how many people support this, I think you would get an easy supermajority.
Supermajority.
Easy supermajority.
Like 85% supermajority.
To base, abolish First Amendment. Teachers and the way that they interact with students as a as like an agent of the state, that's not the same as the First Amendment. Yeah, it's really not.
The government doesn't get First Amendment rights. That's for us.
I hate Trump, but I support this. Yeah, I think this is the reason why. There's no First Amendment school. Yeah, that's not what's going on here. I think, so this is what my opinion is. I think that it's important for people to understand what being transgender is. And I think that towards the end of like middle school or high school, when kids are fully understanding of sex education.
No. They do not fully understand sex education. I don't even fully understand sex education. You don't. You don't. You don't. You don't. You don't. You don't. Nobody fully understands it. So stop it.
They should be made aware of the idea.
My roommate thought that girls peed from their vaginas. There you go.
Of being transgender. They should know that this exists. They shouldn't be taught to be transgender, but they should know this does exist.
No. No, don't talk about it at all. Let's do a little experiment, shall we? Let's just never talk about trans again, and let's see if we get some trans people. We will. We will. We'll get like maybe 100. Maybe 100.
My opinion. A lot of people are saying no. That's fine. Why? Because it does, and I think that school should be preparing kids to see the world as it is, rather than creating a worldview to teach kids that is that's subjective. I think that school should be to how to prepare kids and how to teach them to accurately see the world and how to prepare them for what's happening in the world. And that's why it's important to teach kids about Hitler. It's important to teach kids how Hitler came to power. It's important to teach kids what the Holocaust was or what civil rights were, or anything like that, because
and all the people that were around Hitler, not just Hitler, because it wasn't all him.
You have to understand and know what the world is that you're living in. What Trump is saying here is students being told by their teacher that they could be transgender. This is totally...
Not just that. It's the fact that, I mean, because that's really fucking bad. But also they're keeping it a secret from the parents.
Different than being taught that there are people that believe that they're transgender. These are two very, very different things. One of them is a personal interaction, and the other one is education. So that's my... You want to know what my opinion is? That's what my opinion is on it.
The elimination of federal funding.
I know a lot of people disagree.
As part
with
of
me.
our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing...
And this is just, again, all of these things, this is like a massive W for people that I think are common sense enjoyers. Everybody knows men and women are different. The idea that they're not is completely fucking delusional. No, like, they think differently, everything. Slippery slope? I think that you're right that it's a slippery slope. But what I would also say is that if you ask somebody who's a big supporter of this, they would say that, yeah, but the opposite is a slippery slope, and we've been sliding down that for 10 years, and so it's time to change the slope.
I think we've been free-falling for a little while.
I think that people understand that, like, any sort of, like, enforcement of, like, you know, like, family values, politics, and or anything like that, like, it could very easily be turned into something that ends up being oppressive in the same way that it was in, like, the early 2000s, for example. Very, very easy for that to happen, or the 90s. So, yeah, I think people know that.
Establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill...
That is crazy. Like, and not like, I'm not saying like he's wrong or right. I'm saying like that is extreme. So he's basically saying like there is no non-binary. You cannot identify as a third gender or a third sex. You can't change it. That's even for adults. Yeah. Man. It's a biological fact. Well, what I'm saying is that regardless of whether you think that it's a biological fact or not, you have to admit that this is a massive departure from what's been going on and how things have been trending. in the last 10 years. This is like 180 degrees in the opposite direction. That's what I'm saying. Next 4 years are going to be fucking rowdy? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an understatement. I think it's going to get bloody.
They told us they were going to do this, Project 2025. Oh, maybe. No, it's not. They're intersex people and they're biologically recognized as a fact. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the details for that.
So intersex people is a thing. It's real, apparently. That sounds like an actual medical condition that you're born with. Like, if you are born with a vagina and balls, that's I mean, like, we're gonna have to, we're just gonna have to let that one go. We're gonna have to let that one slide. Intersex people, that's a different thing. Completely different than when you're 12 years old and your teacher says, hey, you like the color pink? I think you're actually a girl.
But I think that's like a that's like 0.001% chance.
How many intersex people are there in the United States?
According to Planned Parenthood, being intersex is also more common than most people realize. Hard to know exactly how many, but estimates suggest about 1 to 2 in 100 born in the U.S. are intersex.
That sounds like bullshit to me. 1 to 2 people in every 100? That sounds like bullshit to me. It sounds like they're throwing on, oh, you got a little bit of facial hair there, lady. You're intersex. That's what that sounds like to me. Sounds like they don't actually fucking know.
Will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports.
Literally the easiest W. Like, this is the easiest W. I am shocked that they kept trying to push this. Like, this is, again, it's another super majority opinion. Intersex is literally 0.1% of the 0.1%. Yeah. And so, yeah, this is exactly like, and there are a lot of people, and this is what I'm saying is like, if you go down to, like, I don't want to say.
From what I just heard from Google, it's literally 1 to 2%. And I think that's bullshit. I think those numbers are fake. And they're adding some people in there that are not actually intersex.
This as like a derogatory term or like a diminutive term. But if you really go and you ask your Walmart Americans, if you go and you ask, you go out to the park somewhere, you go out to like some public event and you just interview people there, what do they think about this? I think that you're going to get pretty much everybody agreeing with this. Do you think pushing gender has to do with Elon's son? No, I think that Trump is just simply responding to what a lot of people in the public are wanting to see. There are more laws against trans athletes than there are trans athletes. So, and that's what I was saying before, right? Is that I think that the trans athlete issue and the entire trans issue, you're right. I think that everybody knows that it's like a fringe issue. It is a tiny fractional issue. But the fact that it exists is a demonstration of such a profound lack of fairness and a profound lack of like what people believe to be common sense that it creates a huge focus point because of how extreme it is. And it's used as like
It's obviously fucking stupid and we shouldn't be doing it. And this is why I think being trans should be illegal. Because if you actually were born with different parts, that's intersex, completely different thing. Intersex, they don't decide that they just have balls when they're 12. No. They had them the whole time when they weren't supposed to.
As an anchor point that people look at every other opinion that that person has. It's like what I was saying with flat earth. The moment that you think somebody believes in flat earth, then immediately you're going to discount everything else that they say. Is it not identity politics then? It is. It absolutely is.
And I've noticed a thing with trans people. They like to post pictures of themselves in provocative positions and like with the cat ears and in underwear and super sexual photos. super sexual photos, or like, the back shot, the ass shot, I see a lot of those on Twitter. I don't go looking for them. They just show up because people usually are making fun of the trans people. It's just what I see, okay? I think being trans is just sexual degeneracy and deviancy, and when you're pushing it on kids, you are trying to make them sexually deviant and degenerate.
Of course.
And we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parent's consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
A lot of people massively support this. Like, if you look...
I actually don't know anybody who doesn't support this. I don't know anybody who's not excited about this, actually.
Look at this. This is 300,000
Here's my plan to stop.
Like, this is 16 million views. People are massively in favor of this. And I think that this is the problem, right? Is that social media websites, places like Reddit, and previously places like Twitter, and places like even Twitch, for example, a lot of people cannot criticize or have conversations about their true feelings about transsexual issues because a lot of people don't really believe in it, and it's considered transphobia. So what's happened is that you've had an echo chamber that's been created where the people that are supporting
Transphobia, homophobia, those words are fucking stupid to me. They're just retarded because it is not that. It is anti. It is anti-homo. It is anti-trans. Not homophobia, transphobia. Because I'm not seeing a trans person on the street being, ah! No. If I see a trans person on the street, I'm gonna be like, wow, that person looks like a fucking freak.
supportive of it are still vocal. The people that are not supportive of it are either quiet or banned. And so you have a feedback loop where people keep hearing over and over, this is the right thing, this is the right thing. But the problem is that when you have, like a social platform like now Twitter with Elon Musk, and you see a lot of people don't agree with it, and then you see there's like a bunch of people out in public that don't really understand it or don't agree with it. That's what happens. That's whenever the, that's whenever the dam falls apart and all the water goes through. Let me see if I look at a few more of these. Trans activists created the second chamber on purpose, but they only have only done it to themselves, harm for long term. The video's not recent. It was made in 2023. Yeah, and that's the point that I'm making, is that this has been a long time coming. I understand that these videos didn't happen yesterday.
I didn't know that. I didn't know when they were posted. I didn't think they were like today, because I've had these saved for a while, for a few days at least. But I didn't think this was, after the election.
Never said that they did. But what I'm saying is that I think that like a lot of these like left-wing ideology, identity politics things have turned people. They have turned people radically against, I think, that any kind of left-wing ideology, because they're unable to divorce themselves from these extreme issues that are affecting and also supported by such a small minority of people.
And it affects everything. I'm feeling it. We're feeling it. If I go into a store and say a gay joke, I'm probably going to get kicked out. And like all the ideology and all the people with the ideology is the biggest problem, that just like get their grubby little fingers on everything and like to ruin everything. And, that's just, one issue we got. There's just the crime. That's a completely different thing. We'll probably get to that soon.
And I think also a lot of people see how you can't criticize this at all on social media. And there are a lot of people on social media, you guys can tell me if you think this way or not, that you can't criticize these issues or talk about your honest opinions about them
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it makes you angry and
Yep.
it makes you resentful.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of people who are like that because they don't want to be told that they can't have an opinion on something.
Oh, bro, I will burn everything that I own down just so I can say what I gotta say. Like, I will throw away my channel. I will throw away all my social media over saying the word retard. I will say it, man. I'm gonna say it. You're not gonna stop me. I will dig a hole and bury myself in it.
It's very simple. And so, especially whenever it's an opinion that they don't think is extreme or bigoted or bad, it's just their personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't get people who let themselves be shut down, because I don't. I'm usually the loudest person in the room. I've got a pretty big voice. I can yell. I can scream. I have never met somebody who could scream louder than me. Do you know who Phil Labonte is? He can scream pretty loud. I can scream louder.
It's annoying. Yeah, and so you see a lot of these people that are pushing back. I got permabanned on Reddit for it. I was very reasonable about it too. Yeah, exactly. And so that, I think, is one of the biggest components here.
And when I scream, I don't scream like Destiny. I don't get all high-pitched and my voice cracks. It's like, when my voice gets loud, it gravels and gets scratchy, and I could sound like a demon. I sound like you're being yelled at by Satan himself.
And I think that social media and the internet has created an echo chamber where these types of values, it's the same as like that girl interviewing that couple. It's like internet politics. Internet politics is like a fringe extreme. And also, even inside of internet politics, a lot of social media websites banning people that have other opinions. It's kind of like, if everybody agrees with you because you've banned everybody that didn't agree with you, well, that doesn't necessarily mean those people go away. It's a way of brainwashing. Yeah, exactly. It's censorship. Yeah, if you censor everybody else that doesn't agree with you, that's it. Why they feel a need for an opinion on an issue that doesn't affect them, just allow others to do what they want. The reason why people think that is that they want to have an opinion. Like, if somebody tells them, like, oh yeah, like, I think I should be able to compete in women's sports as a transsexual male, and you say, I don't agree with that, people want to be able to have an opinion on something. Everybody is going to have an opinion on these things. Of course that they are. It's common sense. People care about kids. Yeah, and I think also, like, I actually think that the average population, if you look at, like, adults transitioning, I actually think that the majority of adults don't care about other adults doing that. I actually think that just on a base level, like, trans, like, acceptance is the majority. But I think what really radicalized people was the sports issue and also the issue with children.
Yeah, it's the children and the ideology. The actual trans... okay. The actual being trans is not the problem. It is the people who are deciding that they are trans that are the problem. Obviously, there are some trans people that should be trans. They are trans, and they are meant to be trans. I don't agree with it, but that's just the way it is. The majority are not. The majority are ideologically driven and sexually driven. And they're just there to destroy everything that you love because they get a kick out of it. They get a kick out of you squirming around while they destroy the thing that you used to love. And they gloat about it. And they tell their friends. And when they get done with that, they move on to the next thing. Movies are failing right now. They've been failing for a little while, shows too. Video games, it's really made its way into video game, and it's starting to fail. People are starting to get tired of it.
And those two things put together radicalize people so much that now, like what Trump is saying, now they're against the entire thing.
Yep. Get rid of all of it. That's what I said earlier. Make it illegal to be trans. Sure.
That's what I think has happened. It's compelled speech. Yeah.
It's gone too far. It's gone too far. Getting the children involved in it. Can't have it no more.
I think also compelled speech is also a huge thing. People don't want to be told what to say. I think they need to address Section 230 and make platforms and publishers hold them accountable for moderation. Giving companies the shield of being a platform while giving the ability to moderate content incentivizes bad actors. I think that social media is in dire need of regulation, but the problem is that people only want to regulate social media when it's advantageous for them to do so.
Yep.
Nobody is actually trying to regulate social media for a principled reason. They're just trying to regulate social media so their side will win. And that's the issue. It's that...
Nah. Not so their side will win. It's so the other side loses. Because they can't have the other side getting a win in the future. Even if they lose. Like, even if they lose, that they can't have the other side winning in the future. They'll run a Green Party before they'll run a Republican. Trust me.
You take... because social media... If you want a real temperature check on how powerful something like Twitter is, think about the fact that Joe Biden, the sitting president of the United States of America, announced that he was not running and he was stepping down from running from president of the United States of America on Twitter exclusively. That is fucking insane. If that doesn't show that it matters, I don't know what does. It's insane. That's why everybody goes and has accounts on Twitter. It's because it's massively influential. Are you not worried about the people that you know who are transgender? I think it's definitely a huge problem. And I've always been in support of trans, like people being able to be trans. I've always been supportive of that. Like,
I'm not. I think it's wrong and disgusting. But I'm an anarchist, so I think anybody should be able to do what they want.
I don't think, like, I mean, I'm sure I probably made a transphobic joke here and there. But otherwise, I've always been supportive of that. Yeah, sure. But I think that also, like, why? It's not relevant to me. It's not important to me. When I say I don't care about what other people do, I mean it. So, yeah, I don't really give a shit. And so I just try to be compassionate and reasonable with other people. But when I'm talking about these things, I'm recognizing these trends, and I'm talking about it because I see how these things have happened and how they've evolved over the years. I don't care it has to be 18. Yeah, of course. I completely agree. You support as long as they stay hidden or in low positions. I think that that's probably true in like a general level. Like if somebody wants to use their position to push their sexual identity, I think that's a bad thing. But I think also like a lot of people don't want to be confronted with stuff like that because it's just not what they're interested in seeing. So yeah, that's really the way I see it. What the fuck?
It's the opposite of what I want to see usually because it's a lot of sexually degenerate bullshit that I don't want to see. Or like weird looking people. Like bearded fat ladies. I don't want to see that. It's fucking weird.
It's an L? No. I mean, like, look, people are entitled to their opinion. It's not really that big of a deal. But that's just what I think. Do you think it's a mental illness? I think that it could be in some cases and it's not in others. At the end of the day, I don't really think that it matters whether it's a mental illness. It's the same thing that I said about like being gay, for example. Like, I don't think it should matter whether you're gay by choice or you're born gay, because I think what you choose to do with another consenting adult is your business and your business alone. And the state shouldn't be trying to make rules and telling you what to do. So to me, it doesn't matter what, why somebody is gay. Oh, they could choose to be gay. Sure, you want to choose to be gay. You can, because it's a free country. You can do what you want to do. And I think that's really that's the main component to it, is that you're free to pursue things, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, I understand that, but there is a line, and it has been crossed. It was crossed a long time ago. When it starts making its way into schools, when it starts making its way into our shows and our games, into the stores, and we're not allowed to say we don't like it, then, get rid of it.
And if your idea of happiness is fucking another dude in the ass, as long as they're over 18 and it's consensual and it's not in public, then that sounds great to me. It's not my problem. Whether you feel like you have to do it, you want to do it, or you just need $20, it doesn't matter. Do it for whatever reason you want. That's the way I see it.
Yep. And it's going to be between you and God. That's the way I see it.
Maybe I'm crazy. And problem begins when you no longer do you, but force me to do so? Yeah, I think that's definitely where it comes down to. Or you're disturbing the neighbors. Yeah,
Am I confusing anybody with my views on things? Because I have staunch views. Like, I have views that the right wing has, but I don't want to implement them. I just want to say them.
of course. Should the state subsidize a sex change? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so, but I'm not like 100% on that opinion, but like my gut reaction is no. Anyway, so Asmon is most American takes ever, and it's not a bad thing. He just wants a free America. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine, yeah, it's what I try to do is I try to look at what my understanding of the Constitution is and what the intent behind it was, and I think, okay, well, how can you apply this? That's it. It's very simple.
Our country is being
I actually don't care that much about the actual written Constitution. I care about what's in it because it lists our God-given rights. That's what I care about the Constitution for. And that's why I think we need to keep it. I think the piece of paper itself is stupid. But the words on the piece of paper, I'm for most of it. Repeal the 19th. Just kidding. Repeal the government. Also, just kidding. Mostly. Are we ready for 4 more years of douchebag? Douchebag, douchebag, douchebag.